When it comes to taking the ball off the back wall, there's a couple of different methods that I subscribe to. This is one in particular where it's so much about weight transfer, getting yourself in a good position to transfer your weight back into the ball. And as always, I like to toggle this and get it towards where both of us are hitting the ball at about the same point. So I've got myself on my right and my student on the left, and I'm going to dissect this a little bit. And we've got Stingray firing out some balls, so it's getting into a good length and a good consistent area of the court. But before I really dive in, please do click in the link in the description. Grab your free personalized swing audit, here to help the squash community as much as possible. Okay, so you might be able to notice a few things already as we're starting to go. Take a look at that, and we'll go again. I'll just run that in slow-mo so you can have a little look. You'll probably be able to see that on the right, I'm able to transfer that weight through the ball with a lot more force than my student on the left. And let me tell you how I'm doing this. So let's zoom in and go a little bit more granular here. A big part of getting this right is obviously positioning, right? But notice how I want to put my left foot down first. If I can place my left foot down first, that sets my whole base. I'm now steady. I can then move and place that right foot down in order to get my weight from a backward position, rocking through the shot, to transfer it as fully as possible. So let's have a look at that. There's the left foot down. All of my weight is now loaded onto that back leg. As you can see, everything is going this way. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting my weight behind the ball as much as possible. So it's about where I place that. Just take a look at my student on the left there. He puts his left foot down, then his right foot, and then has to readjust and jump in with his left foot. So there's a lot of moving parts there where it's going 1, 2, 3, and then, he's getting it and then coming through. There's a way more efficient way to simplify this. And as I said, this is one method. It's not the only method off the back wall, but when you're approaching it, and if you can get into a 2-footed base, massive fan of a 2-footed base for a couple of reasons. Firstly, as I'm saying, you can really set up and you can get your weight backwards and forwards, and you can rock and roll through the shot quite nicely. It transfers you back to the tee really well, and it gives you a lot of freedom of swing. When you're lunging off the back wall, and I actually do a few videos where you have to lunge off the back wall, so that's totally fine, but you nowhere near optimize this weight transfer. Look at that base, nice and solid, nice and strong. And my student's just a little bit timid or a little bit shorter. And what has to happen there? So in this position, again, this is not quite a lunge, but it's close-ish. What happens there is you have to actually stay quite still. You have to lock yourself because your window for hitting the ball is actually relatively small. Whereas when you get a base, I find the window to make contact becomes quite big, and you can really transfer the weight through there. When the window is small, as in that, you have to pretty much stay quite still. You have to almost hold it, because if you move, boy, that ball is going to skew all over the place. But when I'm in this position here with the slightly bigger window, it just feels like I can rock back, rock forward, rock back, rock forward, rock back, rock forward. That's ideally what we're looking to do. Okay, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself, so let me take it back a couple of steps. So again, left foot down, then the right foot gets into the ground there, nice and solid, still loaded, nice bent knees, all of that good stuff. If I go back a little bit, you can't see it from this angle, but there's quite a tilt in the back, isn't there? Compared to my student who's a little bit more upright. I'm really trying to look over the ball and get myself and my head and my chest and my shoulders in that forward position. A quick little analogy I use, imagine you're standing at the edge of a cliff face around about there, and you're trying to look over the cliff face and see the rocks at the bottom of that cliff face there. That's what I want. I want to be able to really lean over and look at what's going on. Whereas my student here, he wouldn't be able to really look over the cliff face and look at the rocks at the bottom because he's not quite bending over. If I was to film it from different positions and angles, there's quite a crease in the hips here. There's a lot of, creasing going on there. I'm compacting myself. My legs are bending and engaging. That's all to do with a little bit of space and distance as well. And, often with my student here, and we did a lot of work on this, that we were really trying to encourage him to give it more space. What's good from both of us, what he does well, he gets in really behind the ball. Look at that. He does very well letting that ball drop out in front of him, going to there. And that's brilliant because you want as much of your body behind the ball as possible in order to transfer it back into the ball. So many people get that wrong. They not lazy, but they just don't get behind the ball enough. And that's a big one. And you just see there, as I'm hitting, look at that, really, really reaching for that ball, and it's falling out a lot, isn't it? So let me just zoom out because I need to probably show you the next couple of things, but hopefully you're getting the message that a lot of it is about the left foot placement and then the right foot placement to transfer the weight. Again, looking at the student, he goes left foot, and just look at the difference there. Look at where he puts his left foot in relation to where mine is. Mine's quite close to the glass. And one little note I want to make while I've got you here. So many people have a fear of hitting that glass. I do these little experiments where I put my foot almost on the glass, around about there. So even like a few inches further back than I am there. The reason you won't hit the glass is this. Look at all my weight. I'm tucked up to the glass there. I'm relatively close to it. Everything's, is going to be hitting that glass. Because what happens if I swing my racket from there, if I stay still and I plant there and I swing, guess what? I'm going to clatter into the glass. Where I am able to make sure I miss the glass is that. Look at how I now create the space because I'm now moving a little bit further forward, and now my racket can go into that number 2 position. So I talk about the 1, 2, 3 position. I'll show you that in a second. There's 1, the starting point, and just a quick little side note. Look how nice and tilted over it is, really loading up that energy. So again, 1, if I was to swing now, 2 would clatter into the glass, and 3 is the contact point. But because I step forward, look at the space I make for number 2. Number 2, the racket goes horizontal, the string looking up at the ceiling, the forearm, wrist looking up at the ceiling. So in that number 2 position, I've got the space. Look at that space that I've got there. So I'm confident that if you put your left foot close to the glass, if you're right-handed, and obviously the other way around or on the other side if you're lefty, you won't hit the glass if you're able to put your weight onto your back foot and then transfer it through. You create all of this lovely space behind there that is like I'm having a completely free swing. And if you think about that, I'm pretty close to the glass. So my student's left foot doesn't go that close to the glass. He then slightly compensates by putting his right foot in. Let's have a look there. And I'm always on the lookout for this. Look at how he's placing his right foot. Look at how the foot is turning into that semi-awkward position. That for me is that compensating that we want to avoid. And again, you're not going to get necessarily too badly injured from this, but actually there's quite a lot of wear and tear between the knees, ankles, all of these joints. If you're angling that foot open and trying to open up, can you see how there's like almost like a force to open it up? So as he goes there, he tries to put his left foot down. And again, we did some work on this and he does okay. Like from there, he's able to turn his hips. There's a nice bit of stored energy. Again, I'd like to see a little bit more looking over the cliff face, possibly getting that racket tilted over a tiny bit more. So that might come over. Racket face is possibly a little bit too close because it's almost looking out the glass or into that corner there. Whereas if you notice my racket face and the strings, the mirror face, I call it, to the side I'm hitting the ball, is looking pretty much down to the ground. So there's all these little subtleties that I think when they add up, makes a big difference. How to practice this? I'm always encouraging people to forget the ball. It's so tempting and so easy to put the ball in because that's the instant feedback. You know what? Take the ball out of play. Just do it without the ball. That's a distraction. Get the muscle memory, film yourself, video yourself, send it to me. I'll be more than happy to look at it. Just click on the link in the description. And, for example, I'd put a ball, let me just show you where it is. I'd put a ball down, right about there, and I'll just ghost it. Okay, it's a pretty loose shot here, so I've got full freedom, but this is a good time to do it. But putting a ball down, working on my footwork, and, I'd even do something like this. I'd put a ball down, and I might even put a piece of tape down around there. So I'm going right. So as I'm going into that ball, I'm looking to go right. Left foot down, right foot, and I might even put a second piece of tape around about there. And if you just think about that, again, I know this is one area and one shot, but you could really get the muscle memory of 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, getting that left, right. Again, left, right combo. Look at my student there. There's a 1 with the right foot. Well, actually, it goes left foot 1, right foot 2, and little kind of left foot recompensation at number 3 again. So hopefully these little tips and methods are helping. Let me just do the last little bit that I'm thinking about is what does it look like when we are following through? So I might zoom out of this one. So if you just look at mine on the right, when I'm following through, those knees are bent. I'm really stable. This is really interesting. Look at my student there. Look at how there's a bit of a spin. Watch, there's just these little spinny movements that are coming out. And look at that. Look at how he's spinning. Whereas think I'm quite solid as a rock. I'm transferring, releasing. Again, really, really good follow through there. Love that follow through for my student. One thing I'm going to point out here, let's look at our heads in regard to this position. I think my student is looking fully at the front wall. He's wanting to see the ball hit the front wall. And this is such a common fault because Notice this. You can see just that little logo on my back there, right? Again, my student, his logo, if he had one, is facing out the glass and his chest is facing forward. My logo is slightly facing the camera still, and my chest is slightly facing the side wall. I'm releasing the swing in a side-on position. This for me is fundamental. I could probably do a whole video just on this because I think this is so, so powerful. So you look at me on the right, I'm transferring my weight through. I'm releasing my swing up to the ceiling, always, always, always looking to release that racket head up as much as I can. Student does a good job of it, but just take a look at that. Look at the over rotation and look, his racket looks a little bit exaggerated. It's all a little bit too much, isn't it? Because now he's fully looking at the front wall. And actually, we did a lot of work on this afterwards, so it won't be a surprise to him looking at this. But keeping your head down, looking at that front wall out the corner of your eye, not with your full face, not with that really, really pulled the whole body out. And you have to, again, compensate. You have to steer the ball. And you'll notice here, how am I moving back to the tee? Notice my left foot swings in behind me. So it keeps me side on and I can get back to the tee nice and efficient. My student almost gets into a jog. Right foot goes out. Now the left foot goes this way and he's jogging back to the tee, like super, super open. And even there, I know we both finished our shots. I feel like I'm slightly more side on, okay, around about there, I'm pretty open now. But you can get that sense that I'm trying to crab and sidestep in that first movement, second movement towards the tee, not wanting to open up too much. When you open up too much, there's so much inconsistency. That ball can just waver. It can come any way out there and you end up having to steer the shot. Again, my student does a great job of the swing and the follow through and his mechanics are really, really solid. So there's not much to kind of unpack there. There are bits, but I like to go granulars, as you guys and girls know out there. So if you can stay more side on, keep your head down, leave something in the shot for longer when you're coming out, that will get that ball a lot straighter and a lot more consistent. Again, you're not going to be surprised how I'm going to tell you to do this. Ghost it, do it without the ball. When you get more comfortable, put the ball in play, but just focus on one shot. Break it down to the smallest pieces. You can't swallow the whole elephant. You probably want to go work on this and you can see all the moving parts, but break it down to the simple things. Have the regularity of things going. Make sure you can practice this again and again and again by yourself. Then you start adding some variability. Okay, so I hope that helps. I went into a bit of a deep dive here and got quite animated, but I think these little tips are good and useful. If you can take one or two of them yourself, go and work on them, that'll be fantastic. So listen, anyone that is enjoying the channel, thank you so much so far for the amazing comments and it seemed like you're all loving it. Please do keep sharing, subscribing, talking about it, sending it to your friends. And as always, click the link in the description and why not check out the squash playbook while you're there. It helps a lot and looking forward to helping all of you at some future videos. Take care for now. Bye.